In this video, I'm going to talk about these two e-bikes. This is a 2022 Sur X Black Edition, and this bike has some mileage. It's like a 2022, like I said. It's got 1,733 miles on this bike, and it's a pretty cool bike. You can adjust the shocks. I don't know a lot about this thing, but I'll just try to explain as best I can. You can adjust this is the preload, and there's also the rebound. So this is how the stiffness of the shock, and this is how fast the shock actually comes back. So you can make some adjustments like that. It has a remote reservoir in the back for this bike, for the rear shock. I think this is just a stock rear shock. And if you look at the grips, this bike has been ridden and flipped and whatnot. The grip got ripped off a little bit, and then the seat here got damaged from probably doing a wheelie and probably tore the seat up a little bit, and they replaced the fender. The back tire is pretty much at the end of its life cycle, but overall the bike's a great bike. It still rides really nice. This bike I've had this bike at 52 miles per hour I've done on this bike. And one thing I can say bad about it, this bike is a little lighter than that one, but one thing I can say that's kind of bad about this bike is it's like a mountain bike brakes that's on almost like I wouldn't quite call it a dirt bike, but it's heavier than a bicycle. So I think this weighs about 125 pounds roughly. And the brakes are a mountain bike brake. They're a hydraulic brake, but they wear the pads out really quick, because if you're going 50 miles an hour and you go to slow down, it really wears the brake pads out. But a lot of people that buy these bikes, they modify them. What they'll do is they'll put different tires on them, like bigger tires on them. Sometimes they'll even change the whole shocks out to dirt bike shocks on them. And one of the things that they do is they'll change this factory battery out to a 72 volt, and it's like, I think it's like $2,000 for that to change this out. And sometimes they'll change this controller here, and that's like I don't know, maybe 800 or 1,000. I'm not sure, depending on which ones you get. And this is the motor itself. This is the electric motor here. And this battery actually goes all the way from here, all the way down. You can't really see it, but it's pretty heavy. This battery, I don't know what it weighs, but it's like 40-50 pounds. And you charge it from this area on this side. There's like a little plug here. You plug it in. It takes about 3 hours. You can plug it into your house. And I've ridden this bike. I took it out on a bunch of trails, and it has two modes. There's a sport mode, and there's like another mode that I think it's economy mode, that you just hit this button. And the sport mode will go full power, and if you hit it on this one, it's only half power. And at the economy mode, it goes about 30 miles an hour. And when you hit the sport mode, it does about, I've had it going 52. But it really wears the battery out quite a bit. So, like I said, this is a great bike. I think at the time, I don't know what these go for, but at the time when this bike was new, it was like $4,500. You could probably get them for like $4,000, and used, they really hold their value. If you're trying to buy a used one, you might be able to get a good deal, but in my area, there's not really any good deals. So I'd probably recommend a new one. So the only thing like I said, I would probably change is the brakes themselves. They go through brake pads, and you can upgrade them to bigger brakes and better brake pads. You could upgrade the engine and everything, but I think it's fine just like this. You don't really have to spend more money. I know a lot of guys spend lots of money putting into these things, but if that's your thing, yeah, go ahead. But for me, it seems like some of these guys can spend a lot of money, so I'll just leave it at that. Now, moving on to this bike, this is a Talaria. This is a newer one. It's made to take on that bike, and it does have all the same features as on the fork. So you can adjust the rebound, how quick it comes back, and then also the tension. So if you're doing jumps, or if you're a heavier rider, you can adjust this and how fast you want it to rebound and come back. This bike is, they both have horns. I forgot to mention that, but this bike is added the brush guards onto it. So this isn't how it would come if you bought it brand new. These are added on, these brush guards, and this phone mount, it wouldn't come with this. This seat has been also changed. This is not a factory seat, and these pegs have been changed. But other than that, the bike is all stock. This one is a little faster, and supposedly I think they're right around the same price for these. I want to say $4,500 for one of these, but this one does have a couple things that are different. I did notice that the tires on this one are a little bit wider. The same size, but they're a little bit wider than that bike. Another thing to note on this bike is it has a charger. You can charge it's got a USB charger here, and I don't know what this is. It's like another charging, another thing you can charge here. I believe this one does have that. It does. It has, what is this, USB? Yeah, it has a charger right here. So you can charge your phone on this one, but it doesn't have the phone mount on this one, which would be kind of nice to have, but do you need it? I don't know. Maybe you do. Other than that, this one would have a fender. I forgot to mention, this would have a fender on this bike, but it did, it either got broken or if you just take it off. One of the problems, if you make it look with the fender on these bikes, they tend to look more like a dirt bike. So if you're riding down the road, the police are probably going to bother you, depending on where you live. As long as you're driving and you're not doing acting crazy and doing wheelies or going really fast, they probably leave you alone. Especially I live in a small town, and they really don't bother you in this area. So the idea behind that one is to keep it more looking like a mountain bike versus a dirt bike. But either way, this bike is, like I mentioned, is a little bit faster. I can feel the power. It's got a little bit more power. And as far as the batteries, they take about 3 hours, 3.5 hours to charge up in your house. And I drove that one 35 miles, no problem. I think I still had battery life left on it. I really haven't taken this bike for a really long ride. I just basically rode around the property here and up the road on 1 or 2 little trails, but I haven't ridden this one much. But I'm going to take them both for a ride, and I'll bring you along on that, and we'll show you what how they go. And like I said, that one does about 50 on a hill. I was going down a little bit of a hill. I had it doing 52. This one was doing 52 and still pulling a little bit. So I'd say this one, I'm not sure what its top speed is, but probably on flat ground, that's probably 50, and this one might be 55, we'll call it. But like I said, this is brand new. It rides a little nicer than that one. Feels a little bit taller. They're both great bikes. If I were to buy a brand new one and not want to change anything, I would probably go to this one, just because it has a little bit more power. And as you ride them, you kind of always want a little bit more, I guess. But this one, I would probably recommend. It doesn't, they're both great bikes. If you have that one, you have a great bike. But if I was to buy one, their same price, I would probably get this one. I'm going to put it on the sport mode, and we're going to go for a quick little ride. We're going to go down this little trail that we have. Take it for a quick ride. I'd have to say that this thing, I don't know what the speed we got up to, probably 35, maybe 4. I think we were in the 40s. It wasn't, I didn't have it all the way open, but it rides pretty nice. This is kind of sandy too, so it's not the greatest trail that I have, but it just happens to be right next to my house. We're going about 40 right now. It's not even all the way open. As I said, it goes a little faster than that. I'm going to just go back up the road here, just because Like I said, this one, I've had this one going close to 50. Probably won't go wide open on it right now, but you'll have to trust me. It goes pretty good. It goes pretty good. So right now we're just kind of cruising. I'll put it in the other mode for a minute. Okay, so this is wide open right here. It stops at 31. Now I switch it over to the sport mode, and you can feel it pull really hard, still at 30 miles an hour. So I'm going to go down this road a little bit. Let off, it's right around 50. Didn't really feel like it was pulling really too much more, but it was right around 50. I think I was right at about 50 there. Might have had a little bit more to go. All right, so now I'm going to jump on the other bike, Talaria MX4. This is their newer one. Okay, right off the bat, I can feel, I just popped off that other one. I don't know, maybe the handlebars feel a little wider on this. Not 100% sure, but they do feel a little bit wider. It definitely feels a little bit quieter. Okay, we got up to 40 pretty quick. It's definitely a new bike, and so it's a little bit hard to compare because that one, as you saw, it had 1,700 miles on it. So there's some wear on that bike. But this one, it's really quiet. And it feels just the suspension and the steering, it feels, you know, a little bit tighter than that one, I could say. It does feel a little bit taller. And I'd have to say some of the improvements that he's got on it, I really do like. As far as these handlebar protectors, they're pretty cool. The seat does feel, this one does feel more comfortable. So I know after riding that other, the other Surron, I put on 30 miles one day, and it was pretty uncomfortable as far as the seat. So, but actually, if I were to buy one, I would definitely, if I had to buy brand new, I'd probably buy this one. We're up to, going up the hill, we're up to 42, 45, 50. But just off, you could just tell going 50 right up that hill, no problem. I really don't need to go downhill and get right on it, but this one definitely a little bit faster. Let's try the different mode. This is on Eco, so let's see what Eco is. Okay, so we're doing 28. This is wide open at 28. So Eco mode is 28 miles an hour. Now we're going to go to the sport mode. We're going to just get on this one a little bit, see what it's got. Still got a little bit more. So I was at 54. The other one is right around 50. Probably had a little bit more in it. Definitely feels fast enough. I don't know. For me, it's fast enough. I think you can get these things to go, I don't know, some people get them going, I think they get them going like 70 miles an hour. I don't know why you'd want to get going that fast on one. It's just like feels like a mountain bike. It's not quite a dirt bike. It's definitely smaller feeling than a dirt bike and lighter. So that's the review of this particular bike. Thanks for watching.